All right, it is 7 o'clock. We'll call the regular August Board of Education meeting to order. This meeting is being held with compliance with the Nebraska Open Meetings Act, copy of which is on. And with that, we will take roll.
Jason.
Here.
Cassie Fussman. Here. She's Credible.
Here.
Brian Locker.
Here.
David.
Here.
Shannon Moore. Here.
It's here.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, I could figure out. Our school rearrangements, so we need to adjust it for the next one. So, all right.
Agenda item 1.4.
This is my squirrel. Sorry.
Is approval of regular meeting agenda, copy of which everybody either previously saw or see before them now. And I'm going to take a motion.
To approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Since we need a second, is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Jason.
Yes.
Cassie Fussman.
Yes.
She's Credible.
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item 2 is our welcome guest and public forum. I do not believe there's anybody here that wants to address the board at this time, because I know you ladies have a presentation a little later. However, if you wanted to talk to something about that, you can speak now.
Great ice cream.
Perfect. We'll move on to agenda item number 3, the consent agenda. In there, you'll see the minutes of the previous board meeting as well as the financials. Let me pull it up here. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things.
I have them on here.
You'll see some more expenses for buses. That was for, quite a few of the buses to basically address anything they needed to before the school year started, just a whole
Some
bunch of random
inspections
different
and
stuff.
repairs.
The best way to get them up to speed for the start of the school year. So I wanted to highlight that.
What is, I'm sorry, Jason,
You're good.
bus rights, license online renewal,
Yeah, that's the tablet for the buses.
Okay,
The buses
yeah.
that we can watch. them on.
GPS and all that stuff, got it.
You'll see the refinishing of the gym floor on there. I know we talked about that a couple months ago. That was under budget, but you'll see that on the check register as well. And then,
That's for both floors. So.
yep, perfect, thank you. And only under. I wanted to highlight one.
I don't remember what we talked about.
And let's check there was nothing on there. Oh, just the visas, going to Jen's point last month, same, this month, just getting the bulk of supplies ready for the school year. So that was the other thing I wanted to highlight was the visa charges. I don't know if Matt, you saw anything else.
Well, there's a lot on there, but they're all small items and the descriptions are pretty good, so I'm comfortable.
Okay. We were able to get a part-time para and a part-time activity bus driver. So, yeah. So that's great. We met Ms. Atkinson during our in-service. She was here all 3 days and we got to meet her. And then some of you probably know Lieutenant Morgan, who's been driving for Blair, and they probably saw our sign during repair and thought, you know, I stuff for them. So,
Are we full now, drivers?
um,
Or we have, not,
well, we're still only at 4 regular route drivers, but we do have more that are calling about possibly subbing, so I think that, and that'll be
it's
helpful.
encouraging,
Yeah.
yeah.
That will be helpful, yeah.
Good.
So,
I've got 2 possibly in the works that are
We called
Very-
them last couple of days.
Very interested in becoming drivers, so.
Yeah.
I hope that.
But the
They're
nice,
our favorite.
yeah, the nice thing about Don is he came in with a bus license.
He did, yes,
Yay.
Don doesn't have to, he's a driver, so.
Anybody else have any questions on any financials or anything of that nature? Okay. If not, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I was like,
Okay, any second, is there any further discussion? Okay, let's vote.
Cassie Foster,
yes.
Chase Crowder,
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Kevin Daniel.
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot. Yes. Jay Snar.
Yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item 4, the principal's report. Mr. Shade is up, but somebody might have to pinch hit for him. Mr. Kingston?
Sounds good. I took a quick look, I think maybe Mr. Shady needed to update some dates in this one. So, legislative bill about, heat-related type stuff that we're always in tune with. Then fall sports begin, today. They're having their parent meetings right now. They should have updated that 2025 season. But you
Yeah,
can
do you
get
want me to
those
click on the link
schedules
and
out
see if
there.
it's accurate?
The link is probably accurate, it takes you to
Not here, sorry.
the, and then Booster Club scrimmages, will be next weekend, Thursday through Saturday, so everything from football on Thursday through cross country on Saturday morning, so it's a good deal, so. And then I believe this weekend, I'm not sure about the media day, so I don't wanna quote on that. Typically, it's the Saturday before, but I'm not sure, so. One of the things for us, just in general, but then with events and our guests to us, is the construction, so
It should be,
the road construction, ultimately,
should be okay. Let's have some time.
yeah. Okay.
I just have it pushed button.
I know that he is and will continue to work with the local ADs about if we have guests coming this way, traffic patterns and different things that way too. So.
Thank you, Mr. Kingston.
There's more on there, but that's okay. There was a whole nother page about, FBLA going to Orlando, which I
Yeah,
feel like we already covered last time, huh?
Yeah,
So-
they were at the meeting and they talked.
Yeah,
Dr. Morgan?
All right, we had STEAM camp this summer. We had 81 kiddos that participated in that. We did reading, math, science, technology, oh, it says Spanish there, foods class. We had 2 programs that kind of run simultaneously. So there's the STEAM camp, which is for any student, and then kiddos that maybe have a little bit more difficulty in math and reading can do the fun stuff, but then they go to a separate class for reading and math to kind of hit those skills harder. And then we have a 3rd program that runs, which is extended school year, and that's for our special education students. We had 19 students this year in extended school year. And super beneficial. We've seen over the past few years, we've grown that a little bit, but we're not seeing that drop then coming back in August, which is nice. And that kind of slide. So we got that. Letters training was completed by Mrs. Christensen and Ms. Madsen. If you remember, it's a couple years, we had donations to do the letters training. It's a fairly intense college level course. They get credit for it. They worked through the program, and so now they are working, we have a schedule set up for them to be teaching those things to our elementary teachers. So that'll be coming from them. Kindergarten night was last Thursday. Feels like a long time ago, and it's yesterday. We have had 45 new kindergartners and their families come on in. Mrs. Christensen does an area where she talks to them about good reading habits at night. I go over kind of building level information, and then parents have time with classroom teachers without their students so they can get themselves set up on Dojo and have all those, be able to ask lots of questions about what kindergarten is going to be like. And we take the kiddos for recess. We take other children to a different area that are monitored by other staff members. and then we bring them all back together and we have dinner together, and PTO provides that every time. So this year it was pizza, which was lovely. Whenever I get the parents in, the very first thing I say is look to your left, look to your right. These are your friends for the next 13 years. Let's know each other. And it's a super great way to kick off the year, especially for those little friends who are a little more nervous. So kindergartners do not come in tonight, since they were there on Thursday. But like I said, I think we had 5 families that didn't come tonight. So we had a great turnout for open house night that just happened. Then a huge thank you to PTO. They always do magnet calendars for our families, and then Kona Ice tonight. And then, so, stuff.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Morgan. Mr. Kingston, we'll go back to you.
Okay, sounds good. I put this on here annually, just the reminder for our Committee on American Civics to make sure we stay on top of that requirement. We will again offer Kickstart classes to our juniors and seniors. And we still continue the model of giving them time, scheduling time in their day to take their Kickstart classes. We do that so that they have some accountability by our staff, even though the Kickstart class is owned by Metro and their Metro teacher teaches, grades it, whatever else. But we schedule it in our kids' day. And then what I captured here is, the gentleman's name is Tony, but Metro provides a support person 1 day a week. Typically it's on Fridays for us, where he helps us to stay on top of where the students are, they doing, progressing through their Kickstart classes. So ultimately wanted to capture that. That's been a good partnership with them. Be on the lookout for, one of the things we're trying to do is to make different things with our students, whether they're successes, whether they're, we have a passion, purpose, pathway. And one of the things that even Dr. Lewis and myself talked about was how our students are articulating their pathway, their future plans, all that kind of stuff. So we have Senior Spotlight, which will be a little bit different this year, where we're going to highlight some things that way and post that. And then we're talking about ways to utilize the video boards while utilizing those for obviously athletic type stuff, academics as well, and not take away from any agreements or understandings that our advertisers who have provided us with those boards understood, so that we're fulfilling those commitments to our advertisers too. So, and Mr. Parson is all about it, and some of our ideas will go through our broadcasting class, so it has a curricular content as well. So, and tonight was the first night we ran computer-based projection presentation from it. So that was something different tonight. So we got to do that for the first time.
How'd it work?
Yeah.
Did it work good?
It worked great. Yeah. Other than I was told that there was a high-pitched sound. I didn't hear it.
Sorry.
Drove my dog crazy.
I don't know. I thought I was telling bad jokes. Half the room cleared out. So I don't know. So we'll have to check and make sure that the connections, if that's what was going on in the bleachers and what people were hearing was related to that, or a speaker feedback, or what it was. So
I'm sure they're on it.
yeah. And then just wanted to know, just obviously these have been through the agenda before, but kind of on our side, really three positions that replaced a teacher who left for a different school or a different position. So Mr. Haight is business, Mr. Hilgenkamp is math, Miss Combs is Spanish, and then we have a new position as JAG is Jobs for America's Graduates. Is Mr. Larson, who was a student teacher with us last semester. So a new position, not a new person replacing anybody. Mrs. Hilgenkamp with speech path. So ultimately just new, names. So when you're around and you maybe see somebody do whatever else, just have those names in mind maybe. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Pinkston.
Yep. And we also had good feedback just from the board to hear. Our staff appreciated the barbecue, the burgers and everything, and they liked being able to, it was a beautiful day, so they walked down to it and whatever and kind of they needed to get back, they could come back and take care of things that way. So they really appreciated that. So thank you all. Yep.
We'll go to agenda item 5, superintendent report. I know these ladies are going to hear on agenda item 5.1, Mrs. Smith, Ms. Mueller, and Ms. Rollins. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You tell me what you want me to start with.
Do you want us to stand right?
Whatever you want to do.
Good.
Right?
It's not too bad.
You can sit down.
I'm trying to, hang on, so do you want the slideshow or do you want you want the slideshow? Let me do something else real quick. Where's that freeze? There it is. I have to ask, I just have to switch screens here real quick, and I want to get this other thing. And then I will be ready to come back to you, okay? I don't want that to start yet. Okay, sorry, I am coming back.
We're just on it too.
Yes, slides, okay.
All right, so I'll go ahead and start, guys. I'm Jamie Smith, and this is my 29th school year in Arlington. And I teach middle school, high school, life skills kids. So, I want to thank you guys for all the support you guys have had for these students over the years too. Over the years, I have seen classes that have students with disabilities in them, and then have watched how those peers take them under their wings and treat them just like everyone else. And that's just such a beautiful thing. A few years ago, we had a prom king come out of my program, which was pretty amazing too. But that compassion and inclusivity can change the entire chemistry of entire classes. With all of our students, that's a type of environment experience for all our kids. And then when Unified Champion Schools approached us at Bennington at the Games on the Green, which last year was the second year that we've invited to participate. It was so much fun. I knew we needed to jump on this. So we want to just give you a little bit overview of what it is and why we would like to bring that program to our school K-12. So there's a little video. You want to go ahead?
You want to do the
video? Yeah, that's okay. It's not very long.
Very
I would never forget this. He scored, and like the student section is literally right there, and like everyone was just like crazy. I wasn't even the one scoring, and it was still just like goosebumps everywhere.
The Unified program is a wonderful opportunity for all of our students to be able to work together, for our staff and our community to promote teamwork, to promote acceptance, and to promote great opportunities for students of all different ages, levels, and abilities and challenges.
Well, I think my favorite part about Unified PE is the fact that we can all just be ourselves in that class because we know no one's going to judge us for us. Before this class, I've never met any of those students other than just like seeing them in the hallway. And now I know a lot of them. Like Omar loves horror movies, Carlos loves video games. But like I just know more, which is great because I've never known kids before.
They feel more comfortable around each other. They really opened up and everybody just accepts everybody for who they are.
I think it's the most ideal classroom we could have. It shows students that we value each other no matter what our abilities are or aren't, or what our values and talents and strengths are. It unifies us and it teaches each other that we can learn from each other and learn how to treat each other.
Inclusion to me means just involving everyone, no matter like whether that's a high five in the hallway, asking them to sit with you at lunch, just including them.
We give each other high fives when we see them in the hall. We say hi to each other. Sometimes we play at recess. Not only have a good bond in Unified, we have a good bond at school too.
It's not like out of school. Sometimes you see each other out of school.
I believe Unify should include a ton of people and get out there and have fun. The track, the whole school's out around the track. They have signs saying like, "Let's go Ashland, let's go Milford, or let's go Wahoo." Everyone's included. Everyone has something to be a part of.
The presence of Special Olympics Nebraska at our events just helps bring even more awareness to it, which is so important because we can pull off a track meet, but not at the level that it deserves to be pulled off without partnering with them. So it's been an awesome partnership. Anything we've ever needed, they've given us or been able to point us in the right direction and give suggestions on, which has been huge.
Schools have so much on their plate already. I could see where there would be some hesitancy on their part to look at this partnership because it becomes one more thing to do. But I've got to tell you, becoming part of Special Olympics Nebraska and the Unified program has been easy, but more importantly, it's been worthwhile. And if it's great for kids, then we find a way.
Being a part of Special Olympics and also the Unified events has helped make me a better teacher and more understanding of all people. And I can't imagine not having it in our school.
Yeah, so to see that in action is just really beautiful, to be part of that. When we've gone to Bennington for the last couple of years, and the first year I had no idea what was even going on. We said there were kids that were coming out to help, but to then find out that it was actually an organized program where the athletes and their partners were coming out to help, it was pretty cool. So, all right, if you want to go to the mission statement. So when we read the mission statement of our Special Olympics and we compare it to our school mission statement, you can see that there's many points that overlap, and also into our school improvement goals. I'll give you a little minute to read through that.
So we just really like how it overlapped a little bit, kind of connected great things that we're working on as a school. So on the next slide, it will talk about the 4 pillars that come with being a unified champion school. There's the sports, health, education, and leadership. Health is offered at the events, like the Special Olympic events. It's not something that we would have anything to do with. It's just something that's there that sometimes parents can take part in if they would like to. The education part of it can support our students all the way from preschool to college age. And then the leadership part can take place also, that's not necessarily within our school. They can do like some camps and stuff for like learning how to give speeches and stuff like that outside of school time. So the main one we're kind of focusing on is like the kind of leadership within school, I guess, and then eventually down the road would be the sports pillar.
Yeah, so we got together and just what would that look like, because we've got schools, big schools, you know, schools our size that are already doing this. How can we take it and complement what we're already doing and, you know, building on that? So like I talked about, we already attended the games on the green, so to continue with that, but to bring partners with instead of it just being our athletes. We talked about doing an Eagle's Nest at the Fontenelle in October, similar to what they're doing at Games on the Green. I think we're gonna have to take that slower than what I wanted all the schools to come and take it down another, so we gotta start something. Anyway, something for the veterans, for the Veterans Day activity. Like, but it'd just be nice to implement something during that time. We talked about doing a candy cart for the students, and then Dr. Lewis informed us that we can't do it within an hour before or after lunch, so we gotta go back to the drawing board on that.
I'm the killer of
Yeah.
Killer of all fun.
But that's where we need more brains in on this, and because we didn't know that. So, we also talked about it'd be amazing if we could start like a unified PE class during that lifetime sports class that they offer. And to have the students that sign up for that know that that's what they're signing up to be partners, and then they can practice the sport in season during that PE time. to do like a spread the word assembly during March and have a guest speaker come in and just do some other fun activities to get the kids understanding what we're trying to do and how to kind of recruit some of them as partners. Last year was the first year we went to Fort Calhoun for their fun at the fort and had a good time. And then during the track meet that we have our high school conference track meet, other school districts are already bringing their athletes and partners and participating here in Arlington. So we thought we don't want to like start all of the sports at once, but it would be nice if we started with that since it's already in place and other teams are bringing their athletes over.
So then we're kind of just looking at this year building into more, incorporating the kids together, kind of like a club. We're getting the kids mingling more, not necessarily the sports part of it. On the other side, it would be more of just like the bonding, the club part. The sports would be only for the high school kids, but these are some activities that we've kind of talked about. Elementary doesn't mean that we're tied to it, they're just suggestions we came up with. Going to the autism conference last couple of years, I've gone to like a circle of friends meeting. And I've been really thinking on the elementary side, how can we get my students out there and more involved with some of their peers? Some of them do a great job already. We just did some other things like once a month. The teachers on the elementary side, painting some pumpkins. One of the suggestions at one of the trainings I went to was doing a very Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. So the kids would eat what they eat in the movie and then they watch the movie. Really don't want to take that on because I've never watched the movie. I'm not sure what they're eating at, but I'm a little nervous on that one. But most of the things like for the elementary that would probably be the most expensive one. Everything else is pretty low cost. Like the December one, you just do die cuts on paper. The kids can write some nice spirit, joyful messages going into Christmas break for the teachers and just spreading them out. But doing it all together with each other in the group as we get going.
After school, not using the buses.
Yep. We would run it like at 3:15 and we would be done by 3:37 so that no one misses a bus. If it's a pickup, we'd already have communicated with those parents that they would come and get them, maybe just towards the end, right before the buses, they'd pick them up right before the buses, but we'd make sure that everyone got on the bus. If there's a kindergarten, we have to rethink it because you threw a loophole into that the other day with the kindergarten for the elementary. So if we have a kinder kid, we'll rethink them if the student who lives in kindergarten wants to do it in the elementary, we will figure something out with them. So some of the benefits that they put out there, that it improves culture, social emotional skills, academic outcomes, it fosters a sense of all the students feeling like they belong, not just ours, but even some of those students who might be a little bit more shy. This doesn't have to be the top kids in the top of the grade. It doesn't have to be those popular kids. It could be those kids who are a little bit shy and that aren't outgoing, that might fit in more as a partner with it. It connects right in with our MTSS tiers. PBIS, I know in the elementary we're not doing PBIS, but we're doing what's called SOAR this year, our behavior management. It helps promote attendance, just having kids wanting to be there and reducing that bullying and teasing and just making everyone feel welcome and appreciated.
Okay, so the next page is about funding. If we get to sign up as a Unified Champion School, there's a grant through the Special Olympics Nebraska. So the first year, each building would receive $500. So since even though we're K-12, we're considered two separate buildings. In the spring, then the high school would receive an initial $300, elementary $250. We have the Special Olympics sponsors a polar plunge at Lake Zorinsky, so we would just get Mr. Fingston and Mr. Shada and anybody else that would, yeah, so we just have to have, students go out and get pledges and, yeah. PTO has already said that they would match the elementary spring funds. We need to meet with the Booster Club, so for potential sponsorship there. We can have our students work concession stands with our partners. Roots to Wings has already said that they would like to partner with us and do some donations. The Arlington Education Foundation, we got to check with them, and then the AYFP fee, that is, I'm sure.
I talked to the Arlington Education, their meeting this week.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Improved tonight.
Right. Yes, we're not done.
I put that caveat out there.
So we talked this year, we're kind of just working on kind of that club feel, the getting to know each other, the kids, not necessarily the sports. We don't want to dive full in and then realize that we got too far and we don't know what we're doing. So our future goals for next year, we would like to include the track and field. If we decide not to do it this May, if we can't figure out when we met with the admin, there's a couple things we just weren't sure on how it would work out yet. Because the track and field would be easy, it's here to pay for everything. We have extra uniforms, Mr. Shada said that we could borrow. Kids would just drain it right in with the other teams that are coming. So that would be like an easy one to kind of implement. Same thing kind of with basketball. We already have the gyms, so if we have to rent anywhere or pay anything. Their basketball games are short, like 3-minute games. So they could just do a 3-minute game at halftime, and that would be the end of it. There is like one day, like a Saturday, where they could go to Elkhorn. There's like a tournament, like a Saturday tournament, that if we decided we wanted to do that, that's something too in the future. Little feet meets, sorry, right this time, is just like, I would say it's very similar to the elementary track and field day. So it would be their partners and their athletes are participating in like an Olympic track meet outside. And any materials we would need, the Special Olympics provides for us. If Mr. Eckhart doesn't have it in the PE session, we just call them up and they will give us everything we need for it, and they provide it all. We use it and then we send it back to them. We like to then also incorporate the year-long PE class, both in the elementary and through the high school, middle school. We've kind of talked to the PE teachers a little bit about this. They met with our our Special Olympics rep last May. And we kind of talked to them and they were kind of on board, just making sure we can just figure out the scheduling stuff. They were all for that too.
And there's curriculum that's.
Yep, and the Unified will provide curriculum for them, like they don't have to come up with their own, they have it all ready for them, they just gotta take it and use it. And then Unified Cheer, there's a couple of girls last year in the high school that were interested in wanting to get that going already. Mrs. Ponce has already talked to a bunch of high schoolers, just on and off, on curiosity if kids are interested in this stuff. And that was another one that they brought up. And then this one, it kind of sounds maybe new to some of us, it's obviously out there and it's been around for a while, because you can see that Unified champion schools are everywhere. There on the left, there are listed just some local schools in our district. Yes, some are not our size, some are bigger, some are close to our size, but those are just ones that are close. And there's 166 other schools in Nebraska that are already considered Unified schools. And then it's in all 50 states and it's around the world in different regions of the world already participating. So we kind of presented this very short brief to you guys. Do you have any questions for us?
How many students do you have interested in doing the track and field program right now?
Well,
What do you think possibly?
So I have 8 students on my caseload, not saying that every one of them would want to participate. Obviously, it's gonna be their interest or sign up to, you know. I can see there being at least a few of them that would do that.
If we had just like 5, we didn't add much time onto that track meet, because last year we had, kids, Unified teams running the first meet, or running the first race, doing long jump and shot put and discus. So it's just a couple of events.
I think this year's 23. Do you know how many students we had participate from other schools? That would have been interesting.
I think there were 3 relay teams. I don't know how many rowers and jumpers, but I remember 3 relay teams when we started that, so
Yeah,
that would be at least 6 kids.
I guess to your point, those things are incorporated into some of the meets already.
Sweet, just slip right in. And we were just talking about just starting with ours rather than like, because it's probably gonna take a person to help me in that ship, and we're not quite ready for all of it.
Yeah.
And there's not like requirements, like you have to do so many practices and all of that. You could have one practice, go to one meet and be done.
And their practice could be like 5 minutes. They go out there, they do their thing for 5 minutes, they get their practice in, and they're gone.
Yep.
I think this sounds like a great opportunity for all the kids involved. The grant money that comes in, I think I just did it in my head, it's like $1,250 total for that first year.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make sure that the picture I have in my head matches what your vision is from like a budget standpoint, I mean, there's not a lot there. I mean, we have most of the pieces in place already.
You're
There's
talking
gonna be
about,
some entry fees and things and.
and coach, like ultimately, like so Coach Buckingham is the head track coach.
Right.
You're looking at somebody who's not Coach Buckingham to be the head unified track coach.
Mhm.
So I believe there will be a cost.
There's a few things, and especially when you're talking about like the actual unified sports.
Yeah.
So maybe not with like the school-wide activities and things like that, but you would have to pay a fee to participate in the actual unified with the state, because that's an NSAA activity right now.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Right, and so then you have to have a non-track athlete, like who's on the high school track team, to be the partner with them, which is fine. I mean, I don't feel like you wouldn't have that, but they have to keep everything separate, or else you run into the rules that the NSAA sets forth for their athletes, which is you can't participate in two sports at the same time, and coaches can't be coaching two sports at the same time, and things like that. So it's so there's a few logistic things like that. But like all of the school-wide things that are not like NSAA sanctioned unified things are minimal cost.
And they really provide a lot for all of like our school assemblies. They would provide everything.
Yeah.
Like our main thing we were hoping this year was getting matching shirts, because like the events we've gone to, we're like the only little group without a matching shirt. And we're like, oh. So
And that was like on one of the events for that one, we talked about maybe if this is approved in September, we get whoever's interested, we tie-dye shirts. And then we get our crickets and we put like unified on them, and then we kind of have the kids, that's our first project. It's just making some shirts for us.
So that's what I asked the Arlington Foundation, if maybe shirts. Yeah, so.
I think that we need to look into more of what the cost would be when it comes to talking about a coach and what that would be. I don't think the involvement, I think that we have great kids. There's gonna be kids that wanna get involved in this. And the programs that you guys are wanting to implement, I think those are great things to add to the school. But we have to look at it from a budgetary standpoint on what are the costs gonna be.
Right.
Because we know that potentially in the first year, looking at the funding from that we would get as a grant, it would be roughly $1,500. I think, by doing math here.
1350 or something.
Yeah. So, but then what is so that's great as like a startup, but then what are those expenses for a coach, even that first year for track? Because I know we've talked a little bit about different, what sports are we going to have and not have and all that stuff in the last 2 years. So I think we need to make sure that we're taking a look at the budgetary point and actual involvement in that too.
And I don't think it'd be like a coach that you pay all the time. It'd be like, or an activity pay, like when we sign up to work. It'd be like a 1 or a 2 time deal.
Well, and I
Not
think,
a coach.
well, and I think too that you can become a unified champion school without doing unified track.
This
Right.
year, like they give you like a grace period.
So you have to.
You don't have to do track. We could do volleyball. We could do.
That was one of the 4 pillars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was sport, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but it doesn't have to be, it doesn't mean you have to have an NSAA unified
Sport.
Right.
track. You
right.
could do, because
Or-
unified basketball is
Yeah.
not an
Yes.
NSAA thing, and you couldn't have your basketball athletes participate, but you could have a unified basketball team that that played 3 minutes. And so then, we'd have to talk about that, but all the other things, you could become a unified champion school without joining an NSAA sport.
Yeah.
And they
Accurate?
have that.
Okay.
And they have that
Yeah.
color bunch that-
We need to, I think we need to look into some more details.
And that's why we said this
What
year we
those
wanted
are.
to do more like the club, getting the kids to get like community based, not necessarily.
Which is
sports,
great, but I
that
don't wanna
part.
get into something that we've already agreed to, and then next year we find out that there's all these additional costs on. So like, that's wonderful, I think it's great that you guys wanna start small, and you don't wanna go all in right in the beginning, cause you don't wanna get in over your head. But I think we also need to look at it from how is it going to grow, how are we going to help support that? That we're not coming back later and saying, oh, well, we didn't know that, so now you can't do it. We do not wanna do that, we wanna know everything coming into it, so we can say yes, and we're prepared to do this down the line.
But I feel like before we would do a sport, we'd have to come back. because it's,
For that, to
Yeah.
approve the budget for that
Well,
employee.
and I would
I
want
think-
to, yeah,
Sorry.
I was gonna say, I would wanna do some exploring too, if those would be special education related costs and if they're 80% reimbursable or
Right.
not. So that's
And that's-
something that I would wanna visit with, it just occurred to me now, because we just had a big budget workshop, so I don't know why I wouldn't have thought of it before, but yeah, if the cost of paying a coach to do unified basketball is 80% reimbursable after that might look different too.
I also like, so now I feel bad because, I don't know, I feel like me saying paying a coach is like up, or going up against it. I think we need to have an honest conversation about time spent and paying a coach for that time that
Yes.
probably looks a lot different than a varsity head athletic.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and the ladies here and the athletes have, like, they've been, I've been to the games on the green and was invited to that and what that looks like and how, it's just wonderful. All right, so if we are, I'm not advocating for, a little bit, but, then I encourage us to stay on it so that we can get some real numbers to
Yeah.
it. Because, I mean, we already try to find ways to incorporate, everybody to be involved in everything, so, this just would ramp it up just another notch, I think, so.
And they did say too, and I don't know what it looks like, but like you can use some of the special education funds to help pay those coaches too. It can come from that
Yeah.
department too,
because it's
since
an
it's,
email I sent you.
to cover part of
So I
that.
sent you that.
And they have the bullet plunge, and then they also do like a big red raffle that has to do with the Nebraska football team. Like it's going on right now, but tickets, they said that's one of their statewide fundraisers too. We just didn't put that one in because it's going on right now.
And we have a lot of community people that want to be involved.
Absolutely. How do we move forward, like, what?
Is this an action item?
Yes, what do we do?
It's not an action item this month because I learned about it last week and I didn't know enough about it myself, you know. I mean, I've been having some conversations, but we just met like as a team last Tuesday. So, I mean, it could be if you're ready to do that. Right now, like the first year costs don't exceed $10,000. So, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
not, it's added
I don't feel
program, but it's
comfortable
not.
doing an
And
action
so we're
item.
just going to wait on that, I think, and we'll gather some more information. We'll talk about it. Hopefully September wouldn't be too late, you know, to start anything. And we just need just a little bit more information on the financial piece of it, the way it sounds for everyone to be really comfortable.
We can also have Steph, our special ed, for the, she can,
Okay.
she can answer a lot of that. 'Cause we're like learning through all of this too, so.
Yeah.
Or if you have certain questions, we write them down, we can always, we email, like when we left Adam the meeting last Tuesday, we left with some questions. Christine emailed her and we had a response by the end of the day from her, like already answering our questions, giving us advice.
I don't, I could pull it up.
So,
Because she went through all of the,
some questions that we
because the
had.
question was all financial that I sent her.
Let me see if I can find the response. Forward that to you.
This is a great thing for for all the kids involved in this. Everybody that's gonna participate in this together, I think and I know we work hard to incorporate that here. This gives us more opportunities to do that. I mean, I'm looking for a
So it was
downside
less
here.
about the
Yeah.
money.
So
I've got it up
she
here.
said,
Yeah.
equipment, uniforms, transportation, coach stipends, et cetera, can be paid through a variety of channels depending on the district's approach. It could be activities budget, sped budget, general funds, booster club, money we send the school, and money the school raises through fundraisers.
Like you're saying, we do a lot now, because like I have an adaptive PE class already in the elementary that my students, and it would be so much, I think, more fun for my students also to have more peers in there, so it's not just like 3 of them.
Yes.
And not just like the teachers are doing it with them, there's other kids in there probably working with them.
And the curriculum, provided curriculum.
It's really nice. I love that idea of getting the unified kids in with the lifetime sports.
Yes.
Because that's what, I mean, it's part of life. All trying to figure out how to do it all together.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think it's, to Matt's point, I think this is a good experience for all involved. Yeah, there's no action item. I think, they don't need anything from the school board approving, to Dr. Lewis's point, because there's no
Wow.
financial impact on this.
And some of these things that they've been doing, they've been going to the games in the green for a couple of years and things
Yep.
like that, so, and we can start doing some of those things, because some of them aren't gonna cost any money at all.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So,
And we've also talked about some in high school, trying to incorporate other clubs that are doing things. You reach out to the student council, hey, the Unified would really like to do something with you guys next month. Do you have something that we could all do
Sure.
together?
Mhm.
And same with the elementary with the student council, if we have it again this year, that would be something great, like we could team up with other groups too that are already going to do little things around the school, just making a bigger group.
I think
you
if we
don't
just-
need our permission to do that.
No.
So.
Yeah,
Certainly.
so that's what we're looking for this year.
I think to
so
move
we can do
forward,
research on
yes,
that.
I think to move forward with becoming a unified champion school, we just need some more information.
Yeah, I think it's great, and don't walk away from here feeling like, you weren't successful, because I think it's a great program. Obviously, you got a lot of time into it. Somebody mentioned that the Booster Club or AYF was possibly gonna meet next week,
Yes,
pending the outcome here tonight.
yes.
I would go ahead and meet with those organizations, see how interested they are, at what level, and bring that back to us, because that would kind of help round out the budget concerns that any board members might have.
And I know the elementary PTO has agreed, if we were to take it this year, they've already agreed to match this spring's donation of
Sure.
$250,
Yeah.
which I know I don't know if they match both of them for next year, if they match the fall donation and spring, or if we would just pick one for the PTO to match, and that's what they would match. Like elementary, there's a little bit less costs.
Yes.
It's not just little
Yeah.
things, but that, and we offer to be a sponsor for us.
In any way, shape, or form.
Perfect.
Let me try and raise money.
Great. Well, thank you.
Sorry, that was under 10 minutes.
That's great.
It's all right.
You said you were talking.
Yeah,
Yes, yes. Thank you guys.
Thanks for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too.
All right, agenda item 2, Dr. Lewis legislative report. This just
Yeah, it's just.
changed completely today.
Changed today, yep.
Yeah.
So we're watching the special session because their initiatives going into the special session are funding schools and lowering property taxes. So they promised nothing would change for our budgets this year. What we learned today is that LB1 is out, LB9 is out, now it's LB34, is that right? So it's a plan that would stair step down to, hold on, stair step down to a more, it wouldn't be like, the governor's plan was 15 cents and then 7.5 cents and then 0 cents, which kind of eliminates all local control of your budget and the things that you need and things like that. And I'm just looking at what came out.
Yeah, so
Can't find it. If you
you
can, oh, here it
could,
is.
yeah, okay, good.
So, let me unfreeze here and I'll just pull it up here. So this is what happened today. There we go. So, amendment to LB 34, which is AM 73, which really changes everything. Will be first round debate tomorrow. So this came out, which wasn't on anybody's radar to come out of the revenue committee. Is that what it came out of?
Yes, it did.
Yep. Not education, revenue. Anyway, so it'd be property tax credit program, as they're calling it, in 2024. This amount provides a reduced maximum school levy that would be phased in over a period of years. So the levy would stay the same with a max at $1.05, which is what it is right now in their general fund. Nobody can tax more than $1.05 without a levy override.
Put it at 40 cents.
And they would drop it to 40 cents, it'd be 35, and then it would remain 30. So school districts could levy no more than 30 cents in their general fund thereafter. And what they're saying is that the state would make up everything else that you need. So it doesn't change your budget authority in theory, it doesn't change the needs side of the formula. It just changes where the money is coming from on the requirement side of the formula. So this would be right now, the local effort rate is $1 and you're allowed to tax up to $1.05 to the same thing about local effort rate, because I didn't, yes, would be the maximum levy. So there's no more discrepancy in between that, which is a little bit problematic, and that's where schools ended up losing money out of the projections that were coming out of LB1 and LB9. So like, for example, we were, because of the discrepancy there, when they were saying that the max levy would be 25 cents, well, that's where they set the local effort rate as well. So they're saying we're gonna make up all of the rest, but without that discrepancy there, we would have lost $400,000 in funding just on that formula 1 year, because they wouldn't allow for that 5% flexibility, which is in there now. So that becomes a bit problematic. If they set the local effort rate at what the maximum levy could possibly be, it kind of takes that mechanism away, changes how we can budget. And then we come in here and we look at the special building fund for fiscal years prior, so projects that are happening in your special building prior to 25-26. If you are already working on a project, you continue to levy 14 cents in there. So let's say our lease purchase was $20 million or something like that, you could still levy 14
That
cents
could
to
run
make
out.
that payment. If your project started prior to this law enacting. And then for fiscal year 25 and 26 and every year after that, 10 cents for any project that started after October 1st, 2024, and 14 cents that anyone that started before that. So it changes what you can levy in your special building fund. And then, so if you want to start something, start it now. Let's look at October 1st. Just kidding. Don't do that.
Yeah, you're assuming you're gonna get through.
We can make all kinds of assumptions. So anyway, that's what came out of today. That's what they started at 1 o'clock, and this is what came out at. Well, what time did this email come? I'm sorry, I have to do this thing to the right size. 4:30 this afternoon. So in 3.5 hours, I have a whole brand new plan that we were not prepared to talk about. Anyhow, special sessions, they can just keep going and going and going until the next regular session starts. Typically, they don't. Typically, they also do not have 81 bills introduced. They usually have 3 or 4. So,
Yeah.
anyhow, Chase, you got anything more to say about that?
No, I think the biggest thing to look at is the general fund, what they're doing to that. So basically, this bill would propose it to go drop down to 30 cents. As you can see, we currently have our general fund proposal at 78.5 cents. So basically, the state then is taking over that 48.5 cents if we're applying it to our proposal for 24-25. And I'll speak as an individual board member here, what's worrisome about that is the state is then taking over all the 244 school districts in Nebraska.
Right.
And as we, I think, all know in this board, every single school district is different. How the state thinks they're gonna manage the differences between 244 school districts, I think they are way in over their head on this. And I don't think they have 33 votes to pass it, but I think it's a dangerous road to go down, especially taking away local control from your school boards, understanding your individual districts.
What do you think about that? So who then does your superintendent work for? I mean, technically they work for the district, but they always work for the person that pays you, right? So it creates a problematic situations all the way around. So hopefully they come up with something that makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
I think we all believe that schools should be better funded, and I think we all
Right.
believe that we'd like to offer property tax relief. But
Mm-hmm.
No, I think this is.
At least they're having a conversation.
Yes, but I think it'll continue to the normal 90-day session UCAM was gonna have this next year. I just don't see how this is gonna go through as it stands right now, but.
this is more what LB9 looked like the first day before it was amended.
Yeah.
So when Senator Hughes introduced LB9, it was a stair-step plan like this, but it wasn't quite as dramatic. And then it was amended and became something completely different. And she didn't even want her name on it anymore. But when you introduce a bill, you can't take her name off of it. So she's probably really relieved today that 34 emerged. I don't know. So we'll just keep watching. We'll keep everyone. We know that whatever budget this year is locked in.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So, Dr. Lewis and I had a legislative call, overview with them on Friday, so we're keeping track of it. We've also reached out to State Senator Ben Hansen, as well. We reached out to him. We didn't have any communication from him prior to the special session on how it would impact the school district, so I do want to emphasize that point right there. But he understands where the school district falls on things being discussed, so.
Well then,
Agenda item 5.3, Dr. Lewis.
This is an X-ray report. What? I don't know why it did that. Yeah, I have no idea. X-ray report from our fiscal review, which is just me sending in all of our paperwork, our documentation, our bills, our contracts, our expenditure reports, our salary and payroll reports and everything like that. And this was for the 22-23 fiscal year, so all of our federal funds. So they just reviewed all of that. And they come up with like these just final statements here. So the only thing, so with documentation was I'll provide the expenditures. They want us to change our effort logs. So that's the only thing that came out of federal programs, IDEA, SPED, and ESSERS. Well, there was nothing that came out of ESSERS. They just said everything was fine there. But wanted now, rather than just to see, like, for example, Title I, our teacher can't be paid 100% with Title I funds, but she teaches Title I 100% of the day. So the time and effort log said, Mrs. Christensen teaches Title I all day long because she does. It's 100% of the time. That's what she does. However, the district pays about 15% of her salary out of non-federal Title I because federal funds don't cover all of her salary. So they want that time and effort log to say 85% of Mrs. Christensen's time is in federally funded Title I instruction.
Yeah.
So they just want some changes to our time and effort logs. It seems like every time we have a review, they change our time and effort logs.
My
It's okay.
suggestion was just for 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And
That'd be nice.
Here you go.
And anyway, we're following the correct policies. There was nothing wrong with our documentation of our paperwork. There was nothing wrong with our payroll, nothing wrong with anything. Just they wanted some changes made to our time and effort logs. So that's always good news. It's the same news they gave us last year when we also had the federal funds or fiscal review. So they said now, last year I think everybody got one, and now this year was the first year of the 3-year cycle. So we shouldn't have to do it again for another review. They'll change things again. It went fine both years, so. Anyway, so that's wrapped up. That's that happened on my desk basically the end of May, the beginning of June. They asked for a couple of things while I was on vacation. I got those to them the 1st of July. The NERSA and NASB reports are attached, so you can read those. The NASB regional meeting. So Cass has indicated she would like to go on September 25th, and I think Chase has. So I'll just get us registered for anyone else who would like to attend that. Yeah, I'll go. Okay. And that will be at Fremont Middle School. It's about 4:30, something like that. I think they sent out like awards levels and things like that. So I think for some reason, Matt, I may have gotten an email like maybe you're at some level where you award at the meeting. So
yeah, we'll go.
Okay.
It'll be fun.
So you guys, Brian, you can think about it.
Yeah, let me think.
I know, yeah.
So it's kind of a nice general session, and there's kind of a couple of breakouts, and then there's the opportunity, we sometimes go, but sometimes do not go to the dinner. They usually have dinner at the golf course afterwards. Just let me know. For now, I will register Cass, Chase, Shannon, and Matt. And just let me know.
The last opportunity for this kind of fun, Shannon.
I feel like you need to be using.
Yeah.
All right, and then our Arbor Family Usage Report. So we can see what that is in this time to take a look at because we'll approve next year's, or like this school year's contract later on in the board meeting here. So this is where our usage has been, this this past school year. So there were 32 total referrals, and it tells you students, males, females, family members, the employee spouse, school versus high school versus elementary. So you can see that 59% of ours were in elementary, 30% were middle schoolers, 3% were high schoolers. How many of them are boys and girls? Who referred them? I think the best charts to kind of look at in all of this is this. So we have through the years where we've had these contracts. I think we also had it in 1920. That was COVID year. That was, it all just turned into COVID year in the spring that year. But I don't know why we didn't have that data because we were working on them 2019, 20. So anyway, we went from 33 to 48. If you remember, that was the year we came back and we were masks and things like that. So I think that increased our usage a lot. And the year after that, we were to 30. Last year, we were 32. So that stayed relatively consistent. So that means 30 people who need help at some point in time. And one referral might yield 3 visits. It might yield 5 visits. It might yield 1 visit. But people who didn't have access to help got it. So that's the important thing. And then it is being used. It's not like it's fallen off and people have forgotten who had it. So, you know, we'd like to see that used a little bit more, but it's great that it is being used. Some of the issues that occurred presenting concerns, so mental health and then relationships are the primary.
That's an interesting part, interesting cut right there. 80-20 relationships versus mental. I mean, I'm just commenting. It's interesting.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, maybe it's how, maybe.
If you look at the causes, divorce is one, is leading, kids working through that in their family, that's what it is.
And a lot of them just struggle with relationships with their peers and things like that too. But yeah, right. So anyway, I mean, it's not falling off, we're still doing it, and I think it's a great service to have. It's in our budget report.
Yeah.
There's some comments in here.
Yeah, good program.
Yeah. We're on site about half a day per week, and then all of the off-site. So that's our usage report for that year.
Later.
Yep. Here's our enrollment totals for this was as of last week. I noticed a few more popped in there today, but this was as of the as of 8/6. So what we had enrolled at that point in time, 109, I think it's up to like 712 or something like that now. Like today, just because a few more people were completing enrollment paperwork, and we had a few more people registered. Not that we knew they were coming, they just didn't do the paperwork, but just that we didn't really know about, and now they're here. So we will educate them.
Yeah.
We will educate them.
Isn't this the school? Yeah, here's my child.
Yes. If you start pretty soon, yeah.
Today versus tomorrow, because we had that before too.
Yeah.
Just a kid there.
So we, like our final numbers in the end of the year snapshot, we're 705, so we've been pretty consistent. Last year, our final was 704. And when we enrolled last year, we enrolled high. There were a few, I think, discrepancies in there, and some of that had not moved out. So that was what was in Power School, but some had not been shifted out yet. So by October, we're at 709. We ended at 75. Now we're starting here at 79, and that's probably just a little bit more accurate than that 722 was last year. So right now on this, the option in and out portion of this, I know kindergarten is accurate at this point in time, and the other ones we kind of have to wait until we get everything kind of. I don't see it. I know there's a few more high schoolers that have in, like, I would say 3. I don't know exactly what grades since I've done this report, and there's a couple that inquired fun stories, but I won't tell them. That's fine. Shelley brought up a fun story to us just a couple hours ago. Anyway, so I believe for sure kindergarten is quite accurate. But as far as the rest of these, I won't be 100% accurate until we actually get everybody enrolled, and then everybody else gets everybody enrolled, and I can look at what the state says is in and what is out and things like that. Sometimes there's discontinuation, so somebody you think that is opted out maybe moved somewhere and they're no longer an option out, et cetera, that kind of thing. That means that'll be more accurate probably in October. And then I can send you like a first day of school enrollment tomorrow, and let you know exactly who should not and what our number is. Because like I said, this was 6 days ago.
And October is when we do that like snapshot send them to the state, right?
October 1st is the snapshot that the state bases the rest of the decisions for the year on, basically number-wise when it comes to. That's where they look at sped numbers, and it's where they look at option enrollment numbers, and that becomes your number for your financial aid next year of option enrollment funding, this sort of thing, that type of thing. I don't know what to expect. So anyway, what you can see is like last year, our in and out was 138 and 46. This year, what it's looking like is 132 and 40. So the number in and out are both going on, but the ratios stay the same. So it shouldn't, if nothing changes with the funding formula, change option funding too much. And there's a couple of board meeting dates in the future here that we want to
Yeah, what's the
have some
conflict on
discussion
those?
about.
Yeah, I have one Veterans Day.
Yeah, I saw that on November, yeah.
Yep, and then the other one is a conflict I have. Just with a lot happening during that board meeting, just wanted to make sure we were all there, that's why.
Yeah.
So, does anybody have any issues moving those to those proposed dates?
The only issue that I have is, I really feel like it's important to be consistent. I mean, I don't have anything, I'll be at meetings, but we've moved them a lot recently, more than I ever remember us moving meetings around. I just think we're the second Monday of the month, we should be the second Monday of the month.
Yes. No, I get it for whom, I mean, I don't know how many people we have on Strive, we have never that, would be in compliance. I know what you're saying, we don't want to jump around all the time, but I know it's probably on that end in September, and I think you're right, Chase, we need everybody here.
The 11th, I will be out of town.
Okay.
I will be out of town on the 11th.
Of September?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we'll keep it, September 9th then. And then the other one was
November.
Veterans Day. Yep.
It doesn't frequently happen that a board meeting falls on like a holiday.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time that actually happens, like a federal
So should we? Should we?
I don't know.
Because it's a holiday?
That's why
I
we
mean,
talked
does it
about it.
matter?
Yeah, I don't know, that's why we're.
Do you have school that day?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
We
still
have
considered a
strategic programs.
business day, just not, it's just. I don't know.
Well, do you have anything that day, Chase, I mean, specifically for Veterans Day? I mean, is
I think it's, Brian speaks about this, I can, it's more of voluntary stuff on
Yeah.
Veterans Day.
Yeah.
But I wanted to flag it, because it hasn't happened before,
Right.
so that's why I flagged it.
I got no problem with it. I'm here, so I got no problem with it.
Okay.
I think the only other time we run into this is maybe like the Monday following Easter. The board meeting, I think that happened maybe once in the last 5 years, but that's not a federal holiday. So that's a religious holiday.
Okay, we'll keep them. And go for that.
Okay, and then we'll
hit the buildings and grounds, point one. Whoever wants to,
Yeah, we met and we discussed, primarily the bus routes. Is kind of what we were talking about, the transportation. meeting. Anybody want to kick that one off? So what we talked about is like the need to like,
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead, Don.
I know where.
I was gonna say, I think the agenda-
Well, I mean, basically, that's what we talked about. I mean, that was,
Yeah, I mean, well, bus routes are kind of set now, but what we talked about is how to be the most efficient with our time, do the best thing for our kids, and, because we don't have 5 bus route drivers, we've only got four route drivers that we can pick out to do that, and so,
There's a lot of factors that have to be taken into consideration. Time is one of them. The amount of kids, the distance that we're driving in between the homes to get to the kids. We have a very large district, so as more families move in and more homes become available and more homes are built, that puts us all over the place. I have to take into consideration where the bus driver lives, where that driver might be coming from, and how that route flows from those areas, those starting points. The main thing is that we try to keep the bus routes within an hour. An hour to pick up 40 or 50 kids at 20 different stops is a lot. That's a lot to try to pick them up door side and try to pick them up on the roads that are the easiest roads that we can get down. And there's just a lot of things. So the routes are growing. Our bus crew isn't. So we are going to try a shuttle this year to keep the 2 largest groups of students that we're picking up on the bus for the least amount of time possible. And be able to run the routes around the 2 large groups instead of to run around and stop and pick up a group in Kennard and still have room and still be able to finagle a few other kids here and then run around here, you know.
Yeah.
That is kind of where we're at, is to try this to see if this works more efficiently. So we're going to run a bus to Kennard to pick those kids up, bring them to school, drop them off at 7:30 so that they can have breakfast. They will only be arriving at school 15 minutes sooner than they were last year. And then that bus will then go to Fremont and pick up those kids, bring them to school, and then they will eat. Still have time to eat breakfast. And they should be dropped off roughly the same amount of time, at the same time that they were being dropped off last year. Yes, the Kennard kids have to come a little bit sooner, but that's just the drawback of somebody has to be here sooner, so.
yeah, it's still, they're still on the bus anywhere close to an hour.
Oh, they're on the bus for probably about 15 minutes.
Service.
Yes.
Still, it's
So,
not required. It's
That,
still
that is
service.
the change, that's happening this year. The rest of the routes kind of fell in place and flowed really well then. Like, we didn't have to, everything kind of fell, other than we have some really far south and some really far north, that really stretches us both ways, but, for the most part, that fell in place. Obviously bus times change, so.
Yeah.
Some families are getting picked up earlier than they were in the past, but every year that changes, so it just depends.
Some are getting picked up later than they were in the past.
Yes, and some are getting home way sooner, but I mean, it's just how, it's how, so,
Different year, yeah.
that was kind of the main issues that we are having, just because we have a lot of students, utilizing bus service.
Did buildings and grounds discuss anything outside of just the transportation? Like anything with what's going on outside or the things that were updated?
We talked about that.
over the
We
summer?
talked about, we talked about the dollar transportation rate for St. Paul's.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about stuff, everything
Just
else was
bus,
settled.
yeah,
I'm
okay.
sitting here, I can go
Everything
back.
else,
and
yeah,
look
the
at the-
construction was kind of like, well,
It
like
wasn't
change
ours.
in 4 days and it might be the same in 2 months, depending on the weather, so.
Yeah, is there still discussions with DOR on, or estimates or whatever's happening?
We haven't moved forward with that yet. I think the last we talked was around September or October, we were going to with them again, and they were going to, yeah, I'll have to touch base with them again. Yeah, and start, they want to visit the full board and see what everybody was kind of thinking and where that community engagement.
When did we do that? June?
It was June, yeah. The late to the school year is, so we did not talk about that.
Is building and grounds also gonna be chatting with the board, that other board? Booster Club, there we go. Are they chatting with Booster Club or is
We
somebody?
did that outside, I mean, the
That's
direction
something-
we had was,
Okay.
this is what we want you to talk with them about, and then I talked with them about it.
Yep, so that's all just kind of separate things.
Okay. Finance committee met, but you saw all that.
Yeah, we saw everything in the
That's
budget.
pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
You'll see an agenda item here shortly on.
Yeah.
what we discussed.
Did anyone have any more questions about the workshop that we had prior to this? About the finance committee?
I think it looks good.
New business, agenda item 7.1, discuss and consider and adopt resolution to increase base growth percentage for the 2024-2025 budget.
Yeah, so this is accessing of the additional 6% that we're allowed for a school district our size. And I think we talked a lot about that, but just in case anybody is listening on Strive now, this doesn't have anything to do with our levy. It doesn't have anything to do with our valuations. It doesn't have anything to do with anything except where the dollars and cents in the general fund and the building fund combined are. And so even though we're only asking for $180,000 in taxes over what we were asking for last year, and that's very minimal budget growth. In order to get that, we still need to access the 6% because of that 3% cap and the way the formula is structured.
Well said.
Great. You got it. Okay, I'll motion to adopt the resolution and increase the base growth percentage for the 2024-2025 budget.
I will second that.
All right, thank you, Cass and Matt. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Chase Crandall,
Yes.
Brian Walker,
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel, Shannon Momar,
Yes.
Jason Art,
Yes.
Cassie Pleasant.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Agenda item 7.2, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to approve purchase and permanent easement agreements with the village of Arlington. This is another interesting one.
This is an interesting one. This is this came out of the street project. And it's not, I thought that there were, I thought it was at first when we were talking about it, that it was the little green space corner that we had across the road on the curb, but it is not. So what this is at one point in time, there was a gentleman's agreement easement for this little tiny corner here, which is handicap accessible onto the street. So this is 11th and Dodge. Right now, I can't go that way. I'm just trying to put this in a frame of reference here. So this is the corner of the practice football field. If we went over here, it's the playground. If we're going this way, it's like the throwing rings and things like that. So it is this orange corner, literally right there. It's just that tiny little bit of land. So it's a permanent easement. It would be granting the city so they could come in and do repairs and things like that without having to ask for an easement every time something needed to be.
Because currently with curb in the road, it encroaches on our property lines.
Well, and it doesn't even have the curb. The curb is like way over here. It's just this tiny little bit of a corner here. So that's just the picture. And so this is how they draw it up. It's
Very generous.
right. And then there's like a $1 fee or something like that. So it's $1. Nobody's purchasing anything. It's just an easement that should have gotten recorded long ago. That never was. So this is the legal thing on part of this.
So when they just found this, Dawn, when they were doing this, when they were before?
I don't know. And the last time that this would have been addressed would be when they were doing the safe roads to schools. I believe that this was like something, I have to go through all the paperwork that in the email that they sent, but this may have been like something that happened in Brian, from what I can understand.
Oh my
Like
God.
78 or something like that. I'm not even sure. So anyway.
I was even there. I don't know. Basically, corners put a corner, right? Am I wrong, Matt?
I'm not a surveyor, but that makes sense to me.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Anyway,
get it.
That's what it is.
Okay.
So it's cellular, so, yeah, we'll just need a motion to approve that, and then I will, there's some paperwork that needs to be done, and I will get that taken care of and get it back to them.
Who's the right-of-way agent for the village of
The
Arlington?
right-of-way agent.
Right-of-way agent. I saw that.
That is his name, but no, it's the guy that delivered the paperwork for me.
Clerk or something.
Yeah, it's not in the village, it's whoever was working on the.
It's not important to me. I was
project
just
that I believe
curious.
the first name was actually Chris, but I will go back and. Chris.
I'll make a motion to approve purchase and permanent easement agreements with the village of Arlington as presented.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ron.
That's, moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Let's go.
Brian Mocker.
Yeah.
Matt.
Yep.
Sharon Wilmot. Jason R.
Yes.
Cassie Clausen.
Yes.
Chase Conley.
Yes.
It's
Won't say
permanent.
another word.
We'll never have to do that again.
Alright. Okay, 7.3 is the co-op policy that we have been talking about, that we had opportunity for. When we looked at it, oh my gosh, why did I get so small? I do not know what's happening. Anyway, so this is the policy that we kind of reviewed, and now there's appendices that match, that go along with this and everything like that. So the first appendix is the list of the sports that we offer right now. And you can participate in those boys, girls, fall, winter, spring. The amounts that we have for boys is 10, the amount that we have for girls is 11.
Dr. Lewis, one act play.
Is considered an NSAA.
Yes,
Oh.
speech and play production. Yep,
Oh, and I saw speech, I just got stuck on one.
yep, those are NSAA
Okay.
activities. Interesting, huh? And then the final one is the request form. If anyone wants to formally request that we explore a co-op, just to keep things. So we want the contact information of the person who's doing the requesting, making sure that they have the child who's actually attending here, the activity, is it for boys, is it for girls, what's the name? Where do you wish us to explore the co-op? And then if there is a club activity, like for example, water polo. Is there a club activity for water polo available nearby? For example, because that's not an NSAA activity, but
It's a great example.
Can they give a typo?
Do I?
Paragraph. Your request to the district are requesting a co-op.
do not forward your request to the district. Our request, yep, I'll correct that, yep, and first reading, so I will get that. I think that was a sentence I struggled with anyway. It's hard to say, I'll correct that, yep, and first reading, so I will get that. I think that was a sentence I struggled with anyway, so it's hard to say what I send it to, this is not, you don't send it to Fremont and us, and this is our form for our board to consider, so, for our admin team. So yeah, I'll wordsmith that last sentence, so anyway, thank you, Jen. Geez, I know to be an English
Teacher anymore.
Our old habits, yeah. So anyone have any questions on any of those? You would look at them all before, except for that form, that was the first time we saw it.
So we'll have action on those next month, right?
Yes. And then new Title IX procedures, I had to check and see, and yes, indeed, they sent those to us before the change happened.
Yes.
Yes. So the directions that we had when I received these updated Title IX procedures, so this would be a tabled item here, was that you need to adopt these and rescind all of your old ones. But then, I believe like 2 days later, it said, never mind. So I think we're on hold. So I think we just need to table these this month, because I started the agenda with this when they first came out. And then as we were building, so I don't know if we need a motion to table or.
I don't think so.
No action.
I don't think you do.
No,
Okay, the St. Paul's transportation rate at $1 per mile. We talked about that in the Buildings and Grounds / Transportation Committee.
and Don and I went and met with Dunclow and
Stacy Nelson.
Stacy Nelson, and met with them and went over that, and they were happy with that because that gives them some
Easier for them to
clear,
budget.
well, it's easier for them to
Simplifies,
budget
yeah.
and do it that way and just leave it that way. And I said, we have no problem doing it that. So they'd have no problem with it and they were good with it. So good. It was a good meeting.
Somebody make a motion there.
Motion to approve St. Paul's transportation permit rate of $1 per mile.
Second.
Jason's been moving second. Is there further discussion? Let's vote.
Matt O'Donnell.
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot. Yes. Jason Art.
Yes.
Cassie Fosser.
Yes.
Jason Frydenberg.
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
All right, agenda item 7.6. Discuss, consider, and take necessary action to approve contract for occupational therapy services.
So this is a Blue Door contract. So they charge state rate for OT services. We discussed this a little bit in our budget workshop. It's the same person that we used with the same organization last year. It's the same person we've had for 3 years now because we first used this before. We first had an interlocal agreement for 2 years with Blair to share this person, and then she switched and she went to Blue Door. So this is the contract. It's not $8 specific amount, it's just a state rate amount contract. It doesn't even say exactly what the state rate is. Right now it's $81 per hour, but this protects us because sometimes they adjust state rates like on January 1st or something like that. So this is just to use them for this year for OT. The kids know her, the staff knows her, and we've been happy with the service she's provided, right?
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the contract for occupational therapy related services as presented for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Thank you, Matt and Cass. And moving second. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Shannon Wilmot. Yes. Jason Art. Cassie Fosser.
Yes.
Jason Frydenberg.
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Matt O'Donnell.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Agenda item 7.7. Consider and take necessary action to enter an agreement with Arbor Family Counseling. I mean, touched on this earlier. This is just our new contract for the school year.
Yes, and so it kind of details all of the things that we talked about on the usage report. Just details that they provide their own insurance for the counselors we send. So the school agrees to pay $3.18 per employee for 5 sessions per employee and family member, 93 cents per student per month for 2 sessions per student and family members. Our invoice is quarterly, so we see that. And that amounts to about $5,800 is what it comes out to. And then $75 an hour for on-site services. We were able to purchase more for the spring because Mrs. Hoff was able to secure a grant to increase that to like a full day. So we'll go back to half a day on that. But $75 an hour for on-site services. $50 for on-site provided by a supervised clinical intern. So we had the same counselor there for a couple of years now too, and she's got good relationships with the kids. We have used their additional services, but they're available to us in case we would have something, a tragedy or something like that. If we needed counselors to come out and talk to us through grief, this would just be what they would charge for that. And it's from July 1st through June 30th, 2025.
I make a motion to enter into an agreement with Arbor Family Counseling for the 2024-2025 school year.
Second.
Thank you, Shane, Cassie, moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Let's vote.
Jason Art?
Yep.
Cassie Osmann?
Yes.
Chase Carter?
Yes.
Brian Walker?
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel?
Yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item 7.8, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to approve service contract with Integrated Life Choices.
This is the agency that Roots to Wings works with, just a reminder for that. We will not be having to go there as frequently as we had in the past because we had a student who was attending 2 days a week last year. That was his last year with us. So we'll have another student who's transitioning age-wise to get a lot of benefit from Roots to Wings. So he'll be starting slow with 1 day. So
I'll make a motion to approve service contract with Integrated Life Choices for youth with disabilities. Second.
Thank you, Matt and Jason. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, let's vote.
Cassie Osmann?
Yes.
Chase Carter?
Yes.
Brian Walker?
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel?
Yes.
Shannon Woman? Jason Art?
Yes.
Motion carries. We do not have any item for executive session, so we will adjourn the meeting at 8:30.